Welcome to Amazing Life, everyone. I'm your host, Dell Hatch, and I'm super excited to be coming to you today with a message that God has spoken to my heart, and I pray that it will speak to your heart as well. Can't even go forward without going into our key scripture for this program, and that's John 10:10. And it says, "The thief cometh to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But Jesus said, I'm come that you may have life in abundance." The Amplified Bible says, to the full till it overflows. Doesn't that sound exciting? Overflowing life. Not just living an average, mediocre life on this earth, but Jesus has come that we will have an overflowing, overcoming life. Why would I say overcoming? It's because there are obstacles sometimes to us living an abundant life. There's obstacles that come in our way. And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about one of those obstacles. And one of the obstacles, I believe, is fear. Yes, I said it. F-E-A-R, fear. And Joyce Myers, I love Joyce Myers. Joyce Myers says, fear is false evidence appearing real. F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. And so we're going to talk today about how fear can keep us from fulfilling the plan of God for our life, living out the dream that God has placed in us, keeping us from seeing the vision that God has for us. What has fear got to do with it? I don't want to even say everything, because really fear doesn't have a whole lot to do with it, but we make it, we make it bigger than it is, so to speak, larger than life. And it keeps us from fulfilling those dreams that God has for us. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk today about the fear factor. So make sure you got your pens ready, you got your phones out so you can take notes. I've got a couple of scriptures that I believe that if you put them down and go back and just read over them later on and think, meditate. The Bible tells us in Joshua to meditate on the word, just think about it. I believe that the Holy Spirit will just show you areas in your life where there just might be some fear that's keeping you from stepping out on the plan of God and stepping into the plan of God that He has for your life. So let's talk about the fear factor. Oh, I wanted to tell a story. It's kind of a funny story, and this is a story about me, Dell Hatch, and a fear that I had. I had a fear of falling, and I don't know where that fear came from. For as far back as I can remember, I had that fear, of falling, probably something in my childhood. There was just this fear, of falling. And so because of that fear of falling, I, Dell Hatch, never learned how to ride a bike. Yes, you've heard it. I know everybody knows how to ride a bike, but I never knew how to ride a bike. Well, I had bought my granddaughter a bicycle, and she was about, probably, she was coming out of training wheels and all of that, the little trike. And so she was on a big girl bike. So I think she was about 7 or so. So that lets you know how many years ago that's been. She's 15, she's 15, getting ready to be 16 now. So quite some years ago. So it lets you know I'm a grown woman, right? Still not knowing how to ride a bike. So I'm out in the yard, and I'm in the driveway, and I'm trying to show her how to ride this bike without training wheels. Now remember, I don't know how to ride a bike, so I'm not actually on the bike. I'm just telling her, I'm helping her get on the bike, and I'm saying you got to hold it steady, and then you turn the pedals this way so it'll be easier, and then this is the brake, and I can tell you all about the bike. And she didn't know I didn't know how to ride a bike. And so she gets on it, and she falls over, and I'm cheering her, and I'm telling her, get back up, get back on, you got this, you got this. We stay out there for quite some time, and before we go back in the house, she's already been riding a little bike with the training wheel. She's actually riding the bike. So I'm getting the bike, and I'm like, well, I think that's enough for today, and I'm getting ready to put the bike up. And she says, Nana, you're not gonna ride? Dun dun. All of a sudden, a fear of, okay, now I'm older, and if I get on this bike and I fall and I skin my knee, and age and all of these different things start coming up, and I was like, no, this is your bike, I'm gonna let you ride. She said, oh, Nana, go on, you can ride it, go, you ride my bike. And then I had to tell my granddaughter that her Nana does not know how to ride a bike. And she said, what? That was just amazing to her that I didn't know how to ride a bike. And she starts laughing and she said, okay, Nana, I'm going to teach you how to ride a bike. So long story short, I get on this bike with some coaxing from her and some coaching. Now the student has become the teacher, so to speak. She's teaching me how to ride a bike. And she's like, you got to hold it steady, Nana, and you got to hold it, you got to do this. And did the bike fall over? Yes, of course it did. But because I did not want her to see me being in fear, being scared, I got back on the bike. And before we went in the house that night, I was riding the bike. I conquered that fear of falling from falling, from just getting out there, her cheering me on, and of course self-talk. The whole time I'm telling myself, you're going to be okay. You can't be embarrassed in front of your granddaughter. You got to be a good example. And I rode the bike. I conquered my fear of falling that day, in one day. And fear is like that. Fear will grip you. It will hold you sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks, for months, for years in one area. And that one area can keep you from doing things in other areas. So that fear of falling kept me from riding rides at fairs and going to, Six Flags. I'd always say, oh, I don't ride rides. I was the purse watcher. So I was the person that would sit and hold the coats and watch the purses and wave at everybody who was riding the rides. Well, once I started conquering that fear, I went from one thing to another thing to another thing. And I was just being adventurous, more adventurous, stepping out there because I conquered the fear. But I had to make a decision that I'm not going to let one little fear, keep me from living life full out, from enjoying when we went on vacation, from enjoying riding a bike and that sort of thing. And I mean, again, long story short, from that, I started riding on airplanes. I wouldn't even get on a plane because what if? What if the plane falls out of the sky? What if I'm getting on the plane and then something happens because the plane is up in the air, right? Again, that fear of falling. But because I began to conquer that fear with one little incident, one little afternoon, one little bike, now I'm not afraid of falling. So you can conquer fear and not let fear conquer you. And so I thought I would share that. We have to confront fear. Fear must be confronted. And the way that we confront fear, one of the main ways that we confront fear is with faith. To get from point A to point B, to overcome fear, we have to confront it. Fear can cause you to go round and round and round and round in circles. And you feel like you're moving, but you're not even getting anywhere. Kind of like the children of Israel in the Bible, where it talks about, how they wandered around, and you guys know the story. They wandered around in the wilderness for 40 years. Now, a lot of us may know a little bit about the story, and we know they grumbled, they complained, they were in doubt, they were in and out of unbelief. Oh, we trust God, we believe God, God feed us, God supply our needs, and so God would supply the need. And then they go months or years, and then they grumble and complain again. And so it was always stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, and going around in circles. And I read somewhere, or maybe even heard someone minister, that 40-year journey should have only taken maybe just shy of a couple of weeks. Can you believe that? Because of their fear, which attached itself to the cousins, doubt, unbelief, stubbornness, all of that. Because of that, they were just going around in circles. Always just a few miles from where they really should have been. And we don't want to do that. We don't want it to be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years and not be able to enter into what God has planned for our lives. We want to be able to defeat fear, to confront doubt and unbelief, and step into the plan of God for our lives. And we definitely don't want it to take 40 years for that to happen. So fear, as it did with them, if it's not confronted, will cause us, because of the doubt, because of the unbelief, will cause us to doubt not just our own abilities, like me with riding the bike, I mean, what is a bike? Riding a bike. People say it every day. When there's something that they have learned and then they think maybe they don't know how to do it anymore or whatever, they'll say, it's just like riding a bike. And I can remember before I learned how to ride a bike, I'd go, okay, I don't know how to ride a bike. So when you say it's just like riding a bike, that's still something that's intimidating to me that I need to overcome. But fear will cause you to doubt your abilities to do something as well as God's abilities to assist you in doing it. So fear will cause you to doubt God's abilities and doubt your own abilities. In Isaiah 41:10, it says, fear not, I am with you, I will help you, I will strengthen you. It says, fear not. This is God talking to us. Hey, I'm with you, I'm going to help you, I'm going to strengthen you. It said, and before that it says, fear not, because God knows if you fear, not that he is limited, because God can do whatever, whenever, however, but in our own minds, we will limit what we will allow God to do in our lives. So that's why he says, first and foremost, hey, don't fear. Don't you fear. Don't be scared. Don't be scared, depending on where you're from, because I'm with you. And when I'm with you, nothing can overcome you. Nothing can overtake you. You have got my ability on the inside of you. So that's what God is telling us in Isaiah 41:10. Fear will cause you, because when we get in fear, right? When we get scared, when we start doubting, will cause us to either fight, take flight, or freeze. I'll say that again. Fear will cause us to fight, stand our ground and fight, take flight, run away, hide, or freeze. Don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna stand here and just be an open target. I'm just gonna freeze. The only fight that we should be fighting, I believe, is the good fight of faith that the Bible talks about. So we've got the fear factor over here, but we've got the faith factor right over here. And we are to fight the good fight of faith, to stand our ground, not run in the face of what we think we can't do, but stand boldly and proclaim, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. I have God's ability living on the inside of me. Greater is he. These are a couple of scriptures, just a couple, that will help you to overcome any fears that you might have. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I can do this. I've got God-sized faith on the inside of me, just bursting at the seams to get out. So we're to fight the good fight of faith. And as David did, you remember in the Bible where it talks about David and Goliath, and we all know that story. Most of us heard it when we were children. And so there's this boy, this young person, David, who there was a fight, and there were giants, and one of the giants was Goliath. And so Goliath was fighting against the armies of Israel. And all the men were afraid of this giant. And he was a real giant. He's a big guy, big dude. But David, who was just really sent to check on his brother, not even sent to fight in the battle, David saw this giant, saw him taunting, teasing, bullying God's army. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, I mean, who do you think you are? Who do you think that you are, that you coming against the army of God? I'll tell you what, on the inside of him rose up this bravery, this fearlessness. And he said, this is what I'm going to do. And he told Goliath how he was going to defeat him, how he was going to kill him. And he knew that it wasn't by his own ability that he was going to do it, but it was by the faith that he had in God and God's ability to give him the wisdom, the knowledge to do what he needed to do to defeat Goliath. And the rest, they say, literally is history. He defeated the giant. The army celebrated him. Hey, he got a really nice prize for it, right? And victory was won once again for Israel.
11-4 Company has a new service called Roof Defender that is designed to give a homeowner options when facing roof repairs or replacement. If you are a homeowner and have a shingle roof, Roof Defender will preserve the life of your roof. If you're facing the cost of replacing your roof, you will want to call 11-4 at 662-791-1333 and ask for the Roof Defender service. The cost is only $1,800 to coat your existing, damaged shingle roof and not up to $16,000 for a replacement roof. Plus, you will receive a 10-year labor and material warranty with Roof Defender from 11-4 Company. Don't let the high cost of a replacement roof get you down. This service seals your shingle roof and protects and rejuvenates your roof's life. Please consider calling today 11-4 at 662-791-1333 or visit online at 114company.com and have a new roof for less money with Roof Defender. This offer is for roofs up to 3,000 square feet. Call for quotes on larger roofs.
As a result of the television ministry on this station or wherever, has surrendered their life to Jesus Christ and been born of the Spirit of God. When that soul of infinite value, we can put a dollar and cents figure on this building and on the equipment, but no one can ever put a dollar and cents figure on the value of one precious, never-dying soul. And so the second challenge is manward, to the supreme importance of the individual in the economy of God. We have this ministry, the Apostle Paul declared. It is the ministry of Christ, and we are charged with a tremendous responsibility.
Jesus Christ, the living Son of the living God, is the one to whom this television station is dedicated to. Because the Lord has put it in our hearts that long ago. And we thank God for what He has done by His hand.
So we defeat fear by doing something, not freezing, not just standing there waiting for something to happen. Because nothing's going to happen until you happen to it. Nothing's going to happen until we step up to the plate and take our God-given, the Word of God, our God-given wisdom, our God-given strengths, the gifts that God has put in us, and start applying them to situations and circumstances. Sometimes a fear could be something as simple as picking up the phone and making a call and saying, hey, I'm working on writing a book, and I want to know if you would be interested in publishing this book. And that person might say, nope, we're not publishing book. I'm not a publisher. I'm not going to publish your book. But they could say yes. And even if they say no, you have defeated that fear of even just picking up the phone and asking somebody about it. You've defeated that fear of not even voicing out that dream that's in your heart. Because sometimes the fear will keep us from even saying what the dream is. And the enemy wants to keep your mouth closed. He wants you not to speak out that dream, that vision that God has given you. He wants that. But God is saying, go and speak boldly. Go and ask. You have not because you ask not. Not just of God, but even sometimes with people. People are waiting to bless you, waiting to give you favor. The Bible talks about favor surrounding us like a shield. So surrounding us, protecting us, going before us, being after us. Favor is there with someone waiting for you to step up to the plate so that it can manifest, show itself on your behalf. So I want you guys to just, for just a little visual exercise of defeating fear, I want you to think about something that you used to be afraid to do. Maybe even when you were a child, you were afraid. And one day, even if it took you a while of thinking about it, that you did it. You know, even if maybe it was driving on the interstate, and then you remember that one day you just said, you know, traffic is too heavy, you know, down here in town. Today is the day. I'm going to get up, I'm going to get on this interstate, and you got on the interstate. And maybe you did get off on the wrong exit. I don't know. But the point is you actually got on the interstate. And once you did that, you found out that giant, that interstate, wasn't the big bad monster that you thought it was. That it's just another highway. That it's just another avenue for you to get from point A to point B quicker. But in your head, maybe you had built it up as this big giant of a monster, and you defeated that one day. Now take that same faith, that same tenacity, that same bravery, that same boldness, and do something else. So I ask you today, what else today? What is that? What is the other thing that you're afraid of? Is it going back to school? Is it because you think, you know, you're too old, or you're not smart enough, or maybe you won't get a student loan? What is it? And what have you done to check it out to see if there's any validity, any truth to that? And step out. Make that call. Fill out that application. You've been wanting that job, fill out that application. Send them your resume. Step out. Do something. Put some faith to your faith. The Bible talks about how faith without works is dead. And then it says being alone. Because faith by itself is just laying there, almost dormant, until you put some action to it. So I want to encourage you today, put action, put some feet to your faith, and defeat fear. Every move you make toward the plan of God for your life, using your faith, you put fear that much further in a distance until you look back and you can barely see the fear that you once had in that area. So in Revelation, it talks about how we overcome. It says they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. Now, our key scripture is John 10:10, and it's talking about Jesus came that you may have life in abundance to the full, till it overflow. That's us overcoming by the blood of the Lamb, step by step, by the blood of the Lamb. He's already paved the way for us to overcome. All we have to do is just walk in it by faith. But there's a second part to that. And the second part says, and by the word of their testimony. Our testimony is what we say. The blood of the Lamb is what Jesus did. Our testimony is what we say. So what are we saying about what he did? Are we saying that we overcome? Are we saying I can do all things through Christ? Are we saying I'm the righteousness of God in Christ, and therefore I can go boldly before the throne of grace and find help in my time of need, that I can call unto God and he will answer me? See, all of these things are things that because of Jesus we can do. But we have to speak those things out. First, believe them, of course, and speak those things out by faith, believing them. So we speak confident, faith-filled words over ourselves and to ourselves. And this is how we're still talking about how we defeat fear in our life, knowing that Jesus has paved the way. So we can overcome the fear factor with our faith factor. On the Fear Factor show, and I watched this show years ago. I hadn't seen it in a while, but I watched this show years ago. And on the Fear Factor show, contestants compete in different little scenarios, and in every scenario there is a element of something that as human beings most people are afraid of. It might be having to reach your hand into a whole big vat of spiders, and you have to pull out a ticket or something, and you're trying to, while blindfolded, while blindfolded, and you have to pull that ticket out, and you have to, or you probably have to do 5 or 10 tickets, and you pull these tickets out, then you have to put the tickets in a barrel or something, then go back to the spiders. And so you got all these spiders crawling up on you, your adrenaline's pumping, then you have to take the tickets, you have to find the tickets, so you have to multitask in the middle of facing your biggest fear. So what is it that makes people face their fear like that? What is it that will make you stick your hand, not me, but stick your hand into a whole big old barrel or tub or something full of spiders to pull out a ticket? Well, it's a $10,000 prize or a $50,000 prize or a trip to Disney World. You know, they make it be something that people will want. And for the prize, they do that. And many contestants are eliminated because sometimes they get to whatever it is. It could be snakes. It could be you laying down and they pour snakes over you and you got to stay in there for so long. But whatever it is, sometimes when they see that thing that they're afraid of, they freak out. They're not able to overcome their fear and they lose and they're disqualified and they have to leave the show. So their prize pushes them. That prize pushes them a lot of times to face their fear. So I ask you today, what is it that pushes you to fulfill the dream that God has for you? What is it that pushes you? Of course, your faith is going to help you, drive you, and help you to overcome. But what is it that pushes you? What is your what? What is your why? What is your reason, I'm asking, for doing this? Why put yourself in a position where you're going to be maybe laughed at or made fun of or fail or all of these things that we're afraid of. Why put yourself in that position? Because Jesus gave his whole life. Number one, because Jesus gave his life that you may live an abundant life. And so if nothing else, don't live an average life because of what Jesus said. He did that so you could live an abundant life. Why live an abundant life? Secondary, because the world needs to see people of God, people who love God, people who have Jesus in their heart, people who love the things of God, overcoming, achieving, being successful. The world needs to see that. Jesus died so you could live it, and the world needs to see it. Your family needs to see it. Your children need to see it. You might be the first person in the generations of your family to be successful in an area. And you might start a whole new generation of success in an area. That is why. That is why you need to step out in faith, face your fear, and overcome. Fear will keep you asking, how? And we don't have to worry about the how. Know why. Because of Jesus, because of the world needs to see it and your family needs to see it. Don't worry about the why. Don't worry about the how, because God will take care of it. He'll take care of the how. You can do all things through who? Through Christ. Once we determine in our heart that we're going to face our fear, that we're going to walk out the plan of God for our life, we're going to live life to the fullest, overflowing life, that we will not dare leave this earth with these dreams and these plans on the inside of us, then God will do the rest. You'll see him move obstacles out of your way. You'll see him make a way in the middle of the wilderness. All of a sudden, you'll see things open up. You'll see the favor of God manifest, be seen in your life as you make a conscious decision in your heart that you're going to trust him, that you're not going to worry about the how. You're going to let him take care of the how. So you might say, well, Dell, that sounds all good and you're all excited and I'm charged up. But what if I fail? And I'll say this to that. What if you don't? What if you succeed? The Bible talks about us just trusting God and believing God, speaking his word, standing on his word, saying, God, I believe you. I believe you have a plan for me. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, saith the Lord. Plans to give you hope, to give you a future, to bring you to an expected end. So I'll say, don't worry about failing. What if you succeed in your life with the plan of God for your life? And look forward to succeeding. The more I face my fears, the stronger I become. Like a baby learning to walk. Y'all know how a baby is when they first start learning to walk. Like a baby learning to walk. They fall, they get back up. They fall, they get back up. They fall, they get back up. But eventually one day that baby's going to be walking, and then look out. You already know they're going to be running, getting into any and everything, doing the most. And so are we. Before you might stumble, you might fall, but keep getting back up. And then you're going to be walking. Then you're going to be walking a little faster. And then, my friend, you are going to be running with the vision. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision. Make it plain up on paper so that he that readeth it may run with it. You're going to be running with that vision. And fear is going to be so far behind you, you're going to run off and leave it. So until next time, you guys continue to confront your fears and walk out the plan of God in your life.